Peace, y'all. April 12th. Using I haven't, obviously, I'm making a video, so I'm not on an old camera. So I'm using the faceless Hero white, Hero 3 white or silver, whatever, with the white numeral. So it's blinking. I hope we're recording. Welcome. Been out here working on the Muncie cart, right? The CRG Blue Demon, and where do I start? Where do I start with what's wrong here? Took the floor tray out because it needs to get cleaned up. Sprayed and wiped the chassis off best I could because we're not going to spend any time painting it. We'll start over here at the motor mount. We just paid $50 for this at the racetrack. This bolts onto our RV XX that's on this cart. Hoping that the Vortex bolt pattern was the same to my old engine up there, the spare engine, which I'm going to use on one of these carts. I was hoping I could get it on here, but the spacing is not right for some reason. And it does the same thing on the Ren speed. So from the same era, yeah. So I'm gonna have to get a hold of our buddy Don Axe. Maybe send that thing down to him. Measure these tubes as accurately as we can, the spacing, and have him maybe alter that one. That'd be the best way to go. Would be to have him just alter this one here and make us some butterflies for it, because we didn't get those. Don't even get me started. That was all part of the package until we picked it up and gave him his money, and then of course that all changed. But so the motor mount doesn't fit. The front is bolted on okay. Everything seems okay there. Master cylinders. I was going to take the hub and stuff off and get this rear end up out of here so we could get this brake mount off. As I told you in some other videos, on the Ren speed, it's got a bracket welded on like an American cart that the caliper bolts to. This one has this crazy bracket system that is attached to the cassette bolts that the caliper bolts to. We took that off because, it's old school stuff. Ven 99 or older. It actually looks bigger, physically bigger than the rear that we thought was Ven 99 for the original, for the Ren speed. If you look at it, they look the same, but it's just physically bigger. It looks identical, but this one here is a little bit bigger. The problem we got, I was concerned that the diameter of the rotor would be wrong for the caliper that Joe sent us with the brake system, but as you can see, this brake caliper was not made for a vented rotor. You can see there the difference, and it isn't because the pistons are out. You could probably maybe be able to push those back in a little bit, but if you look here, let me see if I can angle this thing up. If you look right here, between this point of the caliper and this point, that's the widest you're going to be able to get a rotor through here. This one here is quite a bit bigger, right? So this rotor, this caliper will not work on that rotor because the fluid flows in here and flows through the body of the caliper to the other side. As you can see, you got bleeder. You'd have to make spacers with O-rings on either side. It's been done. My Kelgate rear on the Enduro has got a big spacer made in it for the big Terry Ives 5/8 inch wide rotor. What's going to be quicker, easier? Right now, that mount's already on. Maybe we take a minute and pop this thing apart and see if the cylinders where the pistons go in are not rattle damaged and screwed up. This is an old caliper because it's an old cart. Good chance that this thing is probably toast. If not, you put seals in it, you bleed the brakes, and the brakes don't bleed because the seals, just because the bore of that, the piston bore is sloppy. So I've got bad and worse, or bad and worse. I do, thanks Bob Cole, have a complete set of Brembos front and rear. Obviously the Brembos won't bolt on up there on the front. I think we're okay at the front, even though I believe this is KF or TAG a brake system. Obviously this is not, this is a solid steel rotor like those. Just like this one right here. Right, just like this. You know what, let's take a look for giggles. This is a 4-piston caliper. This one here is only a 2-piston, one on each side. But I bet it would go right on there. Sure it would. Well, we got this bracket in the way, but let's see if we can get around there. Yep. So there you go. It'd be for maybe a little bit thicker than this. But it certainly isn't for a shifter type rotor. So, what do we do? Watching the videos from the very little bit of experience I have running these carts, you see my foot go from laying over here kind of relaxed to getting on the pedal, but you don't see a lot of action. Even at turn 1 to end of the straightaway, the fastest point of the racetrack at Grattan, you don't use a lot of brakes down there. You use the tires to scrub these things. I think the reason they have big vented rotors on the front and vented rotors on the rear is for short track racing, because you go na 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 nee 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 nee, and while you're going nee nee nee, you're using the brakes on a sprint track. Where road racing, it's like an indoor go-kart, man. You throw it and just use the tires, because the go-kart at an indoor place really isn't faster than the track, so to speak. The place I worked at, even though it was a little hairy, you could run all the way around the track without ever letting off the gas and just throw the cart in and slide it. It's not the fast way around, but you can do it. This is the same way. These carts, these sprint shifter carts, are not faster than any of the racetracks I think they run on. Obviously, there's places where you got to get off and you got to use some brakes at certain tracks, right, where there's a tight corner. But compared to the laydown cart, Bob doesn't like this idea. You can't drive one of these like this, because these carts are faster than the racetrack, and you literally have to slow down to this machine's capabilities of grip and steering and handling. Whereas this here, I don't want to say it's, you drive it like a toy. That's what I've learned. I'm sorry. That's what I've learned. You've got to just throw this thing. Throw it in. And Eric Chappelle, who for a good amount of time, like Ted Tackett, Daniel Barth, Joe Barth, Daniel's still running up front because he's a bit young, but all these older guys, they've all been top running guys. Top of the tops, man. Top of the pops. And Eric told me, when the car starts to slide, you never let off the gas. Don't let off. If you let off, you're going to be in trouble. So if it starts getting squirrely, just gas the daylights out of it and steer it and drive it, Robert. Completely different than one of these. So what else do we got? What else could possibly be wrong here? I think that's enough for right now. The brakes in the rear, the motor mount deal here. I didn't try dropping the Honda motor mount on here yet to see if it fits. It should, because it fit Larry's. So these are both having the same issue, where I'll stick you right down in there with a light so you can see what we got going on. It's just a hair too narrow, right? You see here, we're sitting on this outer rail, and it just, here we're sitting on the inner rail, It's just a little too narrow. So, and I don't know that that mount will fit the RVS. Actually, that was an ICC designation where I believe the RVXX was a KZ. So, not that it makes any difference. All I did is change the letter designation of the class. The engines are pretty much the same. But we'll see. I still think it would be much, much quicker to have a guy with a Bridgeport just run a ball cutter that size over a little bit. It doesn't need to go all the way around. It really is the center. As long as one of them captures and the center butterfly can't move, it doesn't matter if this went straight off on this side, as long as the inside shoulder or edge of it was proper. So we got to work. We got some work to do, and we got some money to spend. Yeah. So again, I don't want to hear, Bob, all this could have been taken care of months ago if you just would have done, went out and did your thing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't know. Look at this. I just noticed this. The throttle cable comes through here, and maybe we need to boost those rods up some more. I just dropped them on there. There's a spacer here. Maybe we need to space them up some more because that isn't even going to work. And how do you get a bar on here with the steering shaft in the way? I mean, I don't know if it'd go right under there. You wouldn't be able to get too far around it. I don't know, man. I guess we shouldn't be worrying about tuning chassis when the thing isn't even together yet. But took the seat out so we can get ready to get Big Daddy's seat to fit in once we get, 4 corners on it and everything. So there you go. Packing up these cameras and sending them off. Did a little workout here today. Had an older box. I bought this one when I bought this block, the blackout box, when I bought both of these cameras. This one is the one that went tumbling down the track. I cleaned it up really good. Remember, it had the cracked glass in it. You see the crack in there, right? So I took this one off of the black cam, and this one only has one leg on it. First time I tightened down the mount on it, I heard snap, and instead of just putting it on my helmet and going for a ride, I thought, I better check that out. So from brand new, this is a real GoPro unit. It says GoPro right on it, right there. This one here is just some cheap Chinese deal. Hence, that's why it broke. So what I did is I just stole the glass out of here and put it in here. This one in this unit, that glass had little Phillips screws. This glass in this camera, real GoPro, had little miniature Torx. So I tried using small, flat eyeglass because I got a bunch of those little tools. Just to see, maybe I get lucky and it'll catch and come up. No. So I had to drill the heads off. Had to drill the heads off because the screws are still in there, you see. But it came out. Everything worked out. So we got this fixed up. We got some spare parts. You never have too many of these back doors. If you don't like the sound, this one has 2 holes. I think I actually put these holes in myself. Put a hole or 2 in the side of this thing here. That little slot there in the side above that button, that's where the microphone is. So you can hear and still use the full waterproof door on the back. Just messing around with this stuff. Had to get us a box and some tape and stuff. And we'll pack all these cameras and stuff up and get this off to, I think the guys I mentioned he's in Sparta, over by Sparta, Michigan, right by the track, and he's probably 15-20 minutes from the track. And we went ahead and bought that Hero 9 anyway. Richard said, just get the new one too, man. I'll pay for it. So Bob was pretty blown away by that. But Rich is wound up when he makes his return trip in the vintage Kart with the piston port engine in June. Not wood. He wants video proof of it because hey, it might be his first, last, and only ride. Godspeed. God bless y'all. Hang in there. It's getting better. Every time you work on one of these go-karts, this old stuff Somebody could have hodgepodge this thing together. Who knows, man? Who knows? And we'll get it. It's just gonna take some time. Tomorrow it's